All right, good evening. Don Jowett here, Pace of Ownership Podcast. This is episode 19, and this one is decision. And the decision is why. Why do anything? I mean, that's probably one of the toughest things to answer to is the why. So let me try and break it down. I got a blog post I wrote 10 years ago called Why? Why did I go to Afghanistan? There's a lot of reasons, and in that blog post, and I'll link it in the notes here, the why I went. And it's important you have your why. And for me, it is where am I at and where do I want to get to? So I'll give you an example. Um, I fly planes, pilot, fly little Cessnas around, have fun doing it. It's enjoyable. And when I went and got my pilot's license, I was extremely busy. And so it was like, why go get it? Well, one, it was a lifetime dream. So lifetime dream, but I was busy. And I said, if I don't go do it now, I will always find an excuse not to do it. So, with that mentality in mind, I went and did it, and I did it, and it took me about 8 months, and I got my license, and it was a great accomplishment. You know, very, very full, very prideful day that day of something that I accomplished individually and had no impact on anyone else. I mean, my wife and kids, we got to fly around, it was fun. But really, that was really extremely something just for me. And you have to have your why to go through that. Now, it cost me probably about 10 grand to do it. It cost a lot of hours, a lot of dedication. No different than my MBA. No different than when you start up. No different than when you pivot your company. No different than anything. It's going to cost you time when you make that decision. Because when I talk about action, you need to do something to get something. Decision is about you need not to be happy where you are at right now. And that can go both ways. Okay. I don't like the money I'm making, and I don't like my relationship. I don't like my physical body. Um, I don't like my career. Whatever the case may be, you make a decision. You're not happy. You're in a point of discomfort. You're not in a comfort zone. You are in discomfort. And you say, I want to go there. It could be go to the gym. It could be go get education on something to make more money. It could be to start a side hustle. It could be to work on your relationship. Um, it could be to get rid of your relationship. It could be to get rid of your career. It could be to there's a lot of things that it could be. But you're not happy. You're in a point of discomfort. You want to get over there wherever there is. And I'll use my theirs for your don't like my money, I don't like my body, and I didn't like my career. Those are decisions that I made throughout my life, and I made decisions based on that. So, as I sit here and I look at what I have accomplished, I only can say is what am I going to accomplish next? This podcast is one of those things. I made a decision to start a podcast because I think the pace of ownership is important to get out there. Those blog posts that I wrote 10 years ago were kind of interesting. Again, they were very raw. I wrote them. I decided to write them for a record so I can give that to my kids. But when I looked at them, when I recently went through them, and I said, you know what? There's a lot of lessons in here. Lessons that I wasn't happy at a point in my Air Force career. I wasn't happy in my corporate career. I wasn't happy in my first startup. I wasn't happy in my second startup. Um, there's a lot of things. You know, I take the decision to go to Afghanistan. Why did I do it? Post 9/11, I felt like I wanted to give back. There was something inside me that wanted to give back, and an opportunity came up from a financial and professional role, and I jumped at the chance. And then when I came back, I didn't want to stay with that company. And I made a decision to go acquire Exhibit Associates, a trade show company. And I had no right to buy any trade show company, but I wanted ownership. I'm wired that way. So as I sit here on this weekend, and second weekend in December, I want you to think about your discomfort. What are you not happy with and what do you want to change? Physical, it's the easiest. I talked about that prior, and it's fitness and health. It's eat better, exercise. So that's a decision you make physically. Eat better, exercise. Action. You got to do something to get something. So but it hinges on decision. And so using fitness and using my pilot's license as an example, it's something I always wanted to do. So I went and did it. It cost me money. It cost me time. Um, but I was very thankful that I went and did it. I'm a pilot. There's about 600,000 Americans that can say that. We're like one half of a percent of people in America that can say they're pilots. So, um, and then start a company. Why? Because I live on that. That's who I am. That's my DNA. Um, you don't need to go start a company to have the ownership mentality, but you do have to make decisions in your life if you want more. And really, ownership is about more control, more say, more whatever. And if you have ownership inside a company and you start performing and you start going to that next level, like I had that epiphany I talked about, and I was different the next day, you're going to get perks. You don't even know the perks that are out there. You really don't know the perks that are out there until you start acting like an owner. But you got to make a decision. And if you don't make that decision, it's never going to happen. So, very low key, but it's very important. It's about a decision. And so I've talked about how it all matters. I talked about fitness and health, talked about faith, and I talked about action. But all hinges on a decision for you to go forth and do great things. That's a great saying someone taught me one time. Someone I actually worked for. I said, "Hey, I got a game plan. This is what I want to do." And they said, "Go forth and do great things." Now, I was accountable. There's a lot of things over there, but that was kind of cool. So, what's your next decision? How's it going to impact you? That's all I got to say. So, thanks for listening to Pace of Ownership podcast, real low key today, and thanks for playing along. Don Jalbert here. Want any questions? Have any questions? Reach out to me at don@paceofownership.com. Don@paceofownership.com. Thanks.